I joked, "Your mom's prettier than any girl I've ever dated." And his mom smiled. Eli stepped off the shuttle onto the smooth, silvery surface of Luminaris. The sky above was a soft violet, streaked with faint green lines that shimmered like northern lights. It was beautiful in a way that made his heart race, though he tried not to show it. He had seen many planets before, but none quite like this. The aliens here, tall, slender, and with skin that seemed almost translucent, moved gracefully around the central plaza. Their faces were smooth, almost expressionless except for their eyes, which were sharp and observant. Eli had read about their culture before arriving. They valued logic above all else. Emotions were considered unnecessary. They rarely smiled, and laughing was almost unheard of. Eli was here as a human ambassador. His job was simple in theory: teach the Luminaris colony a little about human culture, humor, and social behavior. Simple, he thought. Humans had been visiting alien worlds for centuries, yet somehow he still felt nervous. A small hovercraft glided toward him, carrying the family he would dine with first. They were tall, like most Luminarians, and their movements were precise and careful. The mother, Saralyn, looked at him with large, curious eyes. Her son, Kale, barely a teenager, stood stiffly beside her. "Greetings, human," Saralyn said. Her voice was soft, measured, but there was a curiosity in it that made Eli smile. "Hello, I'm Eli," he replied. He bowed slightly, not because they asked, but because he always liked to show respect. "It's great to meet you." Kale gave a small nod, barely a smile. Eli noticed the boy's hands twitching slightly, as if trying to mimic some human gesture he had seen before. It was subtle, but it gave Eli hope. They moved to a dining hall, a spacious room with glass walls that showed the glowing city outside. The table was long and sleek, designed for functionality rather than comfort. Eli took his seat, careful not to appear awkward. The meal began. Foods he had never seen before, glowing fruits, small crystalline grains, and liquids that shimmered in the cup were placed in front of him. He picked up his utensils, unsure of the proper way to eat. "Humans have a sense of humor," he said, trying to break the ice. "Right." Saralyn tilted her head, a gesture he had learned meant curiosity. Kale's eyes widened slightly, as if he had never heard this word before. "Yes," Eli continued, deciding to take a small risk. "We also have compliments. Sometimes we say things to make people feel happy." Kale raised an eyebrow. Eli smiled. "For example," he leaned slightly forward, glancing at the boy, "your mom is prettier than any girl I've ever dated." For a moment the room froze. Eli's heart skipped a beat. He had said it as a joke, a casual human joke, but it was dangerous. The aliens were known for being literal. A wrong phrase could cause confusion or worse, offense. Then something happened. Saralyn's lips curved ever so slightly. She smiled. It was not a big smile, not like humans would do, but it was there. Eli blinked. Kale's eyes widened even more. He looked like he couldn't understand what was happening. I am not sure how to process this," Kale said carefully, his voice shaky. "Mother, why do you show this expression?" Saralyn's eyes softened and she looked at Eli. "It is unexpected," she said. "Humans are strange," Eli chuckled. "Yes, we can be strange, but sometimes that strangeness makes people happy." Kale seemed to think about this for a long moment. "Happy," he repeated, testing the word on his tongue. "It is new." "Exactly," Eli said, "and new can be wonderful." For the rest of the meal, a quiet excitement lingered. Kale tried a small grin which looked awkward but genuine. Saralyn, still slightly smiling, asked Eli about his world, his culture, and his jokes. The conversation was slow, careful, and full of pauses, but it was happening. After dinner, Eli was shown to his quarters. They were simple but comfortable, with large windows looking out over the glowing city. He lay down on the bed for a moment, thinking. One joke. One simple, silly compliment. And already something in this colony had shifted. He remembered his training. Diplomacy books, cultural guides, emotional manuals, none of it had prepared him for this. It wasn't about politics or technology. It was about connection, about emotion, about showing a little humanity. And it worked. The next morning, Eli walked through the streets. He noticed small things he hadn't before. A group of children trying to mimic human laughter, though it came out as strange, high-pitched noises. A young Luminaran couple holding hands, something that was technically unnecessary, yet seemed meaningful. Even the city itself felt warmer somehow, less sterile, as if the air carried a tiny spark of joy. He met Cale in the plaza. The boy was practicing small gestures he had seen Eli do, a tilt of the head, a soft laugh, even a tiny smile. Cale looked up at Eli nervously. "You were right," Cale said quietly. "It feels good, strange but good." Eli smiled. "That's the idea. Humans make mistakes, but we make people feel things. That's our power." Cale considered this, then laughed. A short, awkward but unmistakably human laugh. It echoed across the plaza, and soon other children joined in, trying their best to copy it. The sound was raw, imperfect, but alive. Saralyn appeared, watching from a distance. Her eyes met Eli's, and she gave him a small nod, her lips curving in a subtle smile. Eli returned it, feeling a warm satisfaction. One simple, silly joke had opened a door that could lead to a new way of life for these logical beings. Over the next few days, Eli explored the colony, teaching small lessons in humor, emotion, and social behavior. He showed the aliens how to play simple games, how to make small jokes, and how to give compliments. At first, they were awkward, imitating him literally. A compliment about the color of a crystal might result in a child bowing excessively or speaking in an exaggerated tone. But slowly they began to understand. One evening he found Cale practicing in the training gardens. The boy was speaking to a group of younger children, trying to teach them jokes. "Why did the crystal cross the plaza?" Cale asked, grinning. "To see the human laugh." The children blinked, then one of them laughed, then another. Soon the whole garden was filled with soft giggles. Cale looked at Eli, triumphant. "You see," Eli said, laughing himself. "Humans have many powers. Some are visible like technology, others are invisible. Humor, joy, connection, these are gifts we carry everywhere we go." Cale nodded. "I want to learn more." And Eli realized this was only the beginning. One joke, a casual compliment, a simple smile had already changed the course of a colony's culture. But what else could humans teach? Could humor, empathy, and creativity reshape a world built on logic alone? As he lay in bed that night, looking at the violet sky, he felt a quiet excitement. Something extraordinary was happening. Something simple, human, and unexpectedly powerful. And all it had taken was a joke. The morning sun rose over Luminaris, casting a soft violet glow across the city. Eli walked through the plaza, enjoying the quiet hum of hovercars and the soft chatter of Luminaran citizens. Something had changed since his arrival. He could feel it in the air, like a subtle vibration of curiosity and excitement. He saw Cale again, sitting near a fountain that shimmered like liquid crystal. The boy was talking to a group of younger children, attempting to teach them something he had just learned from Eli, humor. "So, if a crystal falls in the plaza," Cale paused, grinning nervously. "Does anyone laugh? Because humans do." The children blinked. For a moment nothing happened. Then one of them, a tiny Luminaran with hair like silver threads, let out a high-pitched giggle. It was soft, almost squeaky, but unmistakable. One by one, the others began to imitate the sound until the plaza echoed with imperfect, awkward laughter. Eli stopped in his tracks and smiled. This was what he had hoped for. Not perfection, not exact imitation, but curiosity, participation. A willingness to try something completely new, even if it felt strange. Cale noticed him and waved. "Look, they laughed," he said proudly. "They understood." Eli nodded. "It's a start. Humans don't need perfection to make joy, we just need a little courage." As Eli walked on, he noticed subtle changes all around him. Adults who normally walked in rigid lines now exchanged small nods or lingered to watch the children play. A shopkeeper smiled faintly at a passerby, a rare and deliberate act. Even Saralyn, the mother whose smile had caused all this, seemed more relaxed, her eyes softer and more open. By midday, Eli was invited to a meeting with the colony's council. The room was vast, circular, and filled with strange floating orbs that displayed information in light. The council members were tall, with serious expressions that seemed carved into their faces. "Human," one of the council members began, their voice flat but polite, "your presence has caused a shift." Eli raised an eyebrow. "A shift?" "Yes," another council member said. "Our children and some adults are displaying behaviors we have never observed before, smiling, laughter, and even curiosity about emotions." Eli nodded. "That's called culture in a way. Humans use laughter and emotion to connect, to learn, to grow together. It's not dangerous, it's natural." The council members exchanged glances. Their expressions were still serious, but Eli noticed tiny changes, a slight tilt of a head, the softest glimmer of curiosity in their eyes. One elder finally spoke. "Explain this humor. Is it meant to mock or to offend?" "No," Eli said quickly. "Humor is a way to explore ideas. It helps us think creatively. Sometimes it makes mistakes, sometimes it surprises us, but mostly it brings people together." The council was silent for a long moment. Eli could feel the weight of their logic pressing down on him, testing his every word. Then, unexpectedly, one council member let out a soft chuckle. It was brief, almost embarrassed, but unmistakable. Eli grinned. "See, even you can do it." After the meeting, Eli walked through the city streets again. Children were teaching other children jokes they had heard from Kale. Some adults were attempting small human gestures, nodding, tilting their heads, even mimicking smiles. It was clumsy, awkward, but alive. Eli realized something important. Humor was more than laughter. It was curiosity. It was flexibility. It was the courage to try something new. And humans had plenty of it. Later that afternoon, Eli was invited to a cultural demonstration at the main plaza. He arrived to find a crowd gathered, children, parents, and even a few council members. Kale stood on a small platform holding a crystal microphone. "Today," Kale said, his voice steady but nervous, "we will try something humans do. It is called a joke." He paused, scanning the crowd. Why did the light crystal cross the sky? The audience was silent. Eli held back a laugh, watching the tension in the crowd. "To see a human smile," Kale shouted. There was a pause. Then one child laughed. Then another. A council member's lips twitched. Soon the plaza was filled with soft, hesitant laughter. It was messy, uneven, and entirely human, but it worked. Eli felt a rush of pride. One small joke, repeated and shared, had begun to ripple through the colony. The aliens were learning to experience joy, curiosity, and connection in a way they had never imagined possible. As the laughter died down, Saralyn approached him. Her smile was subtle but genuine. "You have brought something new to us," she said. "Something we did not know we could feel." Eli nodded. "It's only the beginning. Humor, joy, and curiosity, they grow if you nurture them. And humans, we are very good at nurturing them." Over the next few days, Eli observed more changes. Kale began organizing small humor circles, where children could tell jokes, imitate human gestures, and explore emotions. Adults joined hesitantly at first, but soon found themselves smiling, laughing, and even debating the meaning of a joke. Eli noticed that the Luminaran AI systems, which had been struggling to predict human behavior, began to adapt in unexpected ways. The AI started learning from the humans' unpredictability, becoming more flexible and creative. It was a subtle shift, but profound. One evening, Eli sat with Kale in the training gardens. The boy looked thoughtful, watching a group of younger children play a mimicry game. "Do you think humans are special?" Cale asked quietly. Eli considered the question. We are different, he said. We make mistakes. We are unpredictable, we feel deeply. But yes, I think those differences make us special. Not stronger in battle or smarter in calculation, but special in a way that changes everything we touch. Cale nodded. I want to learn more. I want to understand how you do it. Eli smiled. You already are. You are learning by doing, by feeling, by sharing. That is the human way. The next morning, Eli walked through the city, noticing even more changes. The streets were filled with small signs of human influence. Children teaching each other jokes, adults exchanging compliments, and even council members experimenting with small gestures they had never considered before. He realized that his simple joke, the one about Saralyn, had started a cultural revolution. It was not loud or violent. It did not involve weapons or battles. It was subtle, human, and profoundly powerful. By the end of the week, Eli was invited to speak at the colony's main hall. The audience was a mix of children, adults, and council members. He stood on the platform looking out at the crowd. You have done something remarkable, Eli said. You have learned to feel in ways you never imagined, and you have shared that feeling with each other. That is what makes humans human, and it is something that can change the world. The crowd listened silently, but Eli noticed the subtle signs of understanding, a tilt of the head, a small smile, a soft laugh. These tiny gestures were more powerful than any speech he could give. After the talk, Cale approached him. Do you think one human can really change a culture? He asked. Eli looked at him, smiling. One human can start a ripple, and if that ripple spreads, it can reach everyone. That is the power of connection, humor, and joy. Cale grinned. Then let's make this ripple bigger, Eli laughed. That's the spirit. Let's see how far it can go. And as they walked together through the glowing streets of Luminaris, Eli felt a deep sense of hope. One simple joke, one smile, one small act of humor had begun a transformation. The colony was learning to feel, to laugh, and to connect in ways they never thought possible. Eli knew this was just the beginning. The cultural ripple he had started would grow, spreading curiosity, joy, and laughter throughout the colony. And perhaps, one day, the human's unique ability to connect through emotion and humor would leave a lasting mark not just on Luminaris, but on the universe itself. For now, though, he was content to watch the laughter, smiles, and curiosity blossom, one imperfect, human moment at a time. A few weeks had passed since Eli's arrival on Luminaris, and the colony was quietly transforming. The laughter of children, the subtle smiles of adults, and the curious gestures of council members filled the streets. It was a slow, gentle revolution, humanity's invisible touch reshaping an entire culture. Eli woke one morning to a message from the colony's central administration. The AI systems that managed city functions had started producing strange, unpredictable results. Energy flows were slightly off, and traffic paths for hover vehicles were glitching. Normally, Luminarians would have handled this calmly, logically, without outside help. But the AI's failures were directly linked to new emotional behaviors spreading through the population. The council requested Eli's presence immediately. He had anticipated some kind of challenge, but this was unexpected. Apparently, human influence, though positive, had introduced a variable the AI could not calculate. Eli entered the council chambers, where the tall, serious figures were already seated. They looked tense, not angry, but unsettled. Human, one council member began, your teachings have affected our population. Our AI systems cannot predict or adapt to their behavior. The children laugh unexpectedly. Adults show gestures previously unknown. This is causing malfunctions. Eli nodded. I understand. Humans are unpredictable. Our emotions, humor, and creativity aren't easy to model in algorithms. But that unpredictability isn't a problem, it's an opportunity. Opportunity? A council member asked, their tone flat but curious. Yes, Eli said. Your AI works perfectly for logical patterns, but humans create patterns that don't follow logic. That's how we solve new problems. That's how we invent, discover, and adapt. The council exchanged glances, clearly struggling to understand. Eli continued, I can help the AI adapt to these new behaviors, but it requires cooperation. Humans and aliens working together to teach the system about unpredictability, humor, and emotion. One elder finally spoke. Very well, human, you may attempt this intervention, but you must demonstrate that your method is safe and effective. Eli smiled. Challenge accepted. The next morning, Eli met Kale and a small team of volunteers, children, a few adults, and even one curious council member. Together, they visited the central AI hub. The room was vast, filled with glowing panels and hovering light displays. The AI itself appeared as a floating orb of blue light pulsing rhythmically. Hello, Eli said, bowing slightly to the AI. We're here to help. The AI responded with a series of melodic tones. Its voice was calm, neutral. Human influence detected. Emotional variables introduced, predictive errors increasing. Eli nodded. I understand. Let's work together. He turned to the luminarians. We're going to teach the AI about human unpredictability, about humor, creativity, and emotion, but we're going to do it gently. Step by step. The first experiment was simple, laughter. Eli encouraged the children to tell jokes while the AI observed. Kale stepped forward, clearly nervous. Why did the light crystal cross the plaza? He asked. To see a human smile, the children giggled. Eli laughed, encouraging them. The AI pulsed rapidly, processing the sounds, the patterns, and the unpredictability of the responses. Analyzing, anomaly detected, variable input recognized. It intoned. Over the next hour, Eli guided the team through more exercises. They played games, acted out stories, and even improvised humorous scenes. Adults tried mimicking the gestures, some with subtle smiles and small laughter. The AI began adapting slowly, learning to recognize emotional cues and unpredictable behavior as valid data. This is incredible, Kale whispered to Eli. It's like the AI is learning to feel. Not exactly feel, Eli said, but it's learning to understand. That's the first step. Understanding allows prediction, creativity, and flexibility. That's what humans excel at. By evening, the AI was functioning more smoothly, able to incorporate emotional variables without glitches. The council observed, astonished. You have done it, one elder said. The system can now handle unpredictability introduced by emotional behaviors. Eli smiled. It's not just about fixing the AI. It's about showing that human behaviors, joy, humor, connection, have value. They are not errors or weaknesses, they are strengths. The next challenge arose naturally. The colony had planned a festival to celebrate Luminaris history, but the event required precise coordination of AI-controlled lights, music, and movement. Normally, it would have been flawless. But the AI, now incorporating emotional unpredictability, had begun to interpret unexpected gestures and laughter as new input. Eli was asked to advise. He arrived at the festival grounds to find a team of luminarians in mild panic. Lights were flickering in unusual patterns. Musical notes played slightly out of order. Robots moved in unexpected directions. Eli took a deep breath. It's okay, he said calmly. The AI is just experimenting. Let's work with it, not against it. He guided Kale and the children to interact with the systems. They clapped hands, laughed, and told jokes near the AI nodes. Slowly, the lights synchronized with the laughter. Music adjusted to the rhythm of human voices. Robots moved gracefully, guided by the combination of logic and emotion. By the time the festival began, it was unlike anything the colony had ever seen. Lights danced in unpredictable patterns, music flowed dynamically with laughter, and robots performed playful, creative movements. The audience was amazed. They clapped, smiled, and even laughed spontaneously. Sarah Lynn approached Eli quietly. "Your methods, they are strange but effective," she said. "We have never experienced such harmony between logic and emotion." Eli chuckled. "Sometimes, the strange things humans do are the most powerful." In the days following the festival, Eli worked with the AI and the luminarians to develop new protocols. The AI learned to incorporate emotional cues in everyday systems, traffic control, energy distribution, public spaces, even personal communication devices. Kale was especially enthusiastic. "This is amazing. We can combine logic and emotion. We can make everything better." Eli nodded. "Exactly. Humans are good at blending creativity with problem solving. You can do the same." The council observed these changes with cautious curiosity. They began asking questions about human society, humor, and emotion. Eli explained jokes, stories, and social gestures. He showed them how laughter and joy could diffuse tension, inspire creativity, and improve collaboration. One council member, still serious, asked, "Will this joy and laughter affect decision-making?" "Yes," Eli admitted. "But in a positive way. Humans make mistakes, yes, but we also adapt, create, and solve problems. We are flexible. That flexibility is what allows progress." The council seemed to understand, though it was a slow process. Even so, a shift was noticeable. Some members experimented with subtle smiles. Others engaged in conversations filled with curiosity instead of rigid questioning. One evening, Kale and Eli walked through the glowing city together. The air was warm, and children laughed in the streets. Adults exchanged small gestures of connection. Even some council members had joined in teaching games and sharing stories. "Do you think the colony will fully accept these changes?" Kale asked. Eli smiled. "It takes time. Change never happens instantly. But the important thing is that the ripple has begun. Curiosity, laughter, and joy are spreading. The colony is learning that human behaviors are not errors, they are gifts." Kale nodded, a small grin on his face. "I want to help it grow. I want to teach others to laugh, to feel, to create." "And you will," Eli said. "Humans don't just teach, we inspire. And that inspiration lasts far longer than any instruction manual or algorithm." As they walked, Eli noticed Sarah Lynn watching them from a distance. She gave him a subtle smile, one that spoke of pride, warmth, and understanding. It was small but meaningful. One simple joke, one smile, had begun to change not just the AI, but the culture of the entire colony. And Eli knew the challenge was far from over. The AI and the colony had adapted, but the real test would come when new situations arose, moments where logic and emotion collided in ways no system could predict. For now, though, Eli allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Humor, joy, and human unpredictability had turned a crisis into an opportunity. The colony was learning, growing, and discovering the power of connection. And as the violet sky darkened and stars appeared over Luminaris, Eli smiled, thinking about the next steps. The ripple of humanity had begun. It was small, subtle, and sometimes messy, but it was unstoppable. The morning light on Luminaris shimmered across the crystalline towers like liquid glass. The city felt alive in a way Eli had never seen before. The air was filled with soft hums, laughter, and the occasional melodic tones of AI drones interacting with citizens in ways that were playful rather than mechanical. It had been several weeks since the festival, and the cultural ripple that Eli had started was now visible everywhere. Children taught each other jokes in the streets, adults experimented with gestures they had never tried before, and even council members allowed themselves small smiles or moments of curiosity. But today was different. Today, Kale had organized something new, the Interstellar Humor Festival, an event that would officially celebrate human-inspired joy and creativity throughout the colony. Eli had been both excited and nervous. While the festival promised fun, it also represented a test. Could the colony truly embrace these human ideas and integrate them fully into their culture? The plaza was filled with children, adults, and a few council members. The lights shimmered in colors that shifted with the crowd's mood, reacting to laughter and movement. Eli stood with Kale near the main stage, watching as the first participants arrived. "Are you ready for this?" Eli asked. Kale's eyes sparkled. "I think so. Everyone's excited and nervous, but this is good. We need nervous, it means we care." Eli nodded. "Exactly. Humans are nervous too. It's part of the experience. It makes joy real." The festival began with a simple performance. Children acting out short, humorous skits inspired by human stories. One group pretended to be luminaire and hover vehicles racing through a crystal canyon, narrating their adventures in silly voices. The audience laughed, some softly, some awkwardly, and some with genuine amusement that felt entirely new to Eli. Next came Kale himself, standing on the stage, trying out human jokes he had learned. "Why did the crystal go to the sky?" he asked. "Because it wanted to see a human smile." A few children giggled. Then adults joined in, laughing softly. Even one council member let out a small, surprised chuckle. Eli grinned. One small joke had started a chain reaction that was now visible across the plaza. But then, something unexpected happened. A group of older council members, hesitant about these new behaviors, approached the stage. They observed silently, their expressions serious. The children paused, unsure how to continue. A tense hush fell over the crowd. Kale looked at Eli, worried. "What do we do?" he whispered. Eli smiled gently. "We continue. Humor is about courage, about taking a risk. Keep going." Kale took a deep breath and said, "Why did the AI robot go to the dance floor?" The crowd waited. "To learn human moves," he shouted. There was a pause. Then laughter, soft at first and then growing louder. Even the older council members cracked smiles. Their lips twitched, eyes softened. For the first time, they participated in something spontaneous and joyful. Eli felt a rush of pride. This was more than a festival. It was a cultural turning point. Humanity's strange, imperfect behaviors were being embraced not just by children, but by the leaders of the colony themselves. The festival continued with games, storytelling, and music. The AI systems, now fully adapted to human unpredictability, interacted dynamically with the crowd. Lights danced in irregular patterns, music shifted based on the laughter and gestures of participants, and even small AI drones performed playful movements alongside humans and luminarians alike. At one point, Eli found Saralyn standing at the edge of the plaza. Her eyes shone with warmth. She had been hesitant at first, cautious about the human influence. But now her smile was genuine and open, a reflection of the cultural change that had taken place. "You have brought something remarkable," she said quietly. "Something we did not know we could feel. Humans, your ways are strange but beautiful." Eli nodded. "That's the power of connection, humor, and curiosity. It isn't about logic alone. It's about sharing experiences, discovering joy, and learning together." Saralyn's gaze softened. "I see that now, and I want to share this with our people. I want our colony to embrace it fully." As the festival progressed, Eli noticed subtle but significant changes in behavior. Children experimented with new gestures, combining luminarian elegance with human spontaneity. Adults were more open to collaboration and discussion, using humor to solve small problems and connect with one another. Even the most skeptical council members participated, sharing stories and joining games. Eli realized that the turning point wasn't just about smiles or laughter, it was about openness to change. The colony had begun to understand that emotion, creativity, and unpredictability were not weaknesses but strengths. In the middle of the plaza, Kale approached Eli, his eyes wide with excitement. "Look, even the AI is dancing." Indeed, the AI drones were moving with surprising grace, adapting their patterns based on human laughter and gestures. It was playful, dynamic, and entirely new. Eli laughed. "See," he said, "even logic can learn to play." Kale laughed too. "It's amazing. Humans can really change things." Eli smiled. "Not just humans. Cooperation changes things. Humans help, but Luminarans embrace it. That combination, that's powerful." Later, as the festival drew to a close, Eli observed a small group of council members discussing what they had learned. Their tone was thoughtful, reflective, and even curious. One elder spoke quietly. "We have spent centuries relying solely on logic. We believed emotion was a distraction. But now, perhaps there is value in joy, in laughter, in unpredictable expression. We have underestimated this." Another nodded. "Yes, perhaps the human way, its humor, its connection, is a strength we can adopt without losing our identity." Eli felt a warm glow of satisfaction. This was exactly what he had hoped for. The colony was not abandoning its culture. It was evolving, integrating the best of human traits with its own strengths. That evening, Eli and Kale walked through the city streets, now alive with soft lights and quiet music. Children laughed in small groups, adults experimented with gestures, and drones floated playfully above, responding to human-inspired commands. "Do you think this change will last?" Kale asked. Eli thought for a moment. "Change takes time. Some will resist, some will embrace slowly. But the important thing is the seed has been planted. Curiosity, joy, and humor will grow here, and the ripple, it will spread." Kale smiled. "Then let's help it grow faster," Eli laughed. "One step at a time. Human change works best when it's gradual. You can't rush joy, it must be experienced, shared, and learned." As they passed the central plaza, Eli noticed Saralyn watching them again. Her eyes were soft, proud, and warm. She waved subtly. For Eli, that small gesture summed up everything. One joke, one smile, one human touch had started a transformation that would resonate through the colony for generations. That night, Eli lay in his quarters looking at the violet sky. He thought about the journey so far, the first awkward dinner, the joke that caused a smile, the laughter of children, the hesitant smiles of council members, and now, the first successful festival. Humanity's power was subtle but profound. It wasn't in strength or weapons. It was in humor, connection, and emotional courage. Eli realized the true turning point was not the festival itself, it was acceptance. The colony had moved from curiosity to understanding, from hesitation to participation. They had begun to embrace the human way, not blindly but thoughtfully, integrating it into their culture. And for Eli, that was the most remarkable achievement of all. As he closed his eyes, he imagined the ripple spreading further. Other colonies, other civilizations, learning that humor, joy, and connection were powerful tools. The universe might be vast, filled with logic and rules, but humanity had a gift that no AI, no algorithm, and no alien culture could replicate fully. The ability to feel, to inspire, and to change others with something as simple as a smile. And in that quiet moment, Eli smiled too. One small joke had changed everything, and the adventure was far from over. The weeks following the Interstellar Humor Festival passed with an energy Eli had never expected. Luminaris was changing, not slowly, not quietly, but in visible, remarkable ways. Children's laughter now echoed through the crystalline plazas from dawn to dusk. Adults experimented with gestures they had never considered before. Tilts of the head, small smiles, even subtle playful movements. The AI systems, once rigidly logical, now danced along with unpredictability, adjusting music, lighting, and city rhythms to match the mood of the population. Eli walked through the streets one morning, observing these changes. A group of children practiced jokes near a fountain, giggling at their own silly voices. Adults watched them, smiling softly and occasionally joining in. Even a few council members walked past, quietly experimenting with gestures or softly chuckling at the children's antics. Cale appeared at his side, bouncing with excitement. Eli, look, even the transportation systems are reacting to people laughing. The hover vehicles adjust their paths to avoid collisions, but also they move in funny patterns, like they're dancing. Eli laughed. Exactly. The AI has learned that unpredictability is not a problem, it's an opportunity for creativity. You see, Kale, humans thrive on surprises, and now so does Luminaris. Kale's grin widened. I think everyone is finally getting it. Everyone's learning to feel a little differently. Eli nodded. Yes, and that's the true gift. Not the festival, not the jokes, not even the smiles. It's the ability to experience, connect, and share. That is the human way, and now it belongs to your colony too. That evening, Eli was invited to the council chamber for a special meeting. For the first time, the council seemed relaxed, their expressions softened. They no longer seemed wary of the human influence. They were curious, engaged, and even a little playful. You have changed more than we expected, one elder said. Our systems, our behaviors, our culture, even our thinking. It is as if your species carries a spark we have never seen before. Eli smiled. Humans are emotional, unpredictable, and sometimes silly. But that's what makes us strong. We connect with each other, create solutions where logic fails, and inspire change through empathy and humor. Another council member spoke. We have seen this firsthand. Children laugh freely. Adults experiment with gestures and ideas. Even our AI now understands emotional context. We cannot ignore this gift. Eli nodded. You don't have to ignore it. You can embrace it, nurture it, and integrate it into your culture. That way, your colony becomes not just logical but alive, flexible, adaptive, and joyful. The council members exchanged glances, and for the first time, Eli saw a subtle, unified decision form in their expressions. They had accepted the human influence fully. The next day, the colony organized a celebration to mark the integration of human-inspired culture into everyday life. Streets were decorated with glowing crystals, music flowed dynamically through the plazas, and laughter filled the air. Children performed humorous skits, adults shared stories with playful exaggerations, and even the AI orchestrated light and sound to create interactive performances. Eli stood with Kale near the central plaza, watching the spectacle. It's incredible, Kale said. Everything feels alive. Eli nodded. It is alive, not just because of technology, but because of humans and now luminarians choosing to feel, connect, and create together. Saralyn approached, her eyes soft and warm. You have done more than teach jokes, Eli. You have shown us the value of emotion, connection, and joy. Your species, your ways are extraordinary. Eli chuckled softly. Sometimes the most extraordinary things are the simplest. A smile, a laugh, a shared moment. Humans just notice them and we pass them on. Saralyn smiled genuinely, the warmth in her eyes clear. Then we will pass them on too. This is a new beginning for Luminaris. That evening, Eli joined Kale and other children in the plaza. They were inventing new games, combining Luminaran elegance with human silliness. One child rolled a small hover drone in circles while making funny noises. Another created a puppet show using glowing crystals. Laughter echoed across the plaza, imperfect, joyful, and vibrant. Kale turned to Eli. Do you think humans really have this everywhere? Eli nodded. Yes, wherever humans go, we carry curiosity, creativity, and connection. Those things can change any culture, sometimes in a single moment, sometimes slowly over time. That's why humans are, well, we're special. Kale laughed. I get it now. That's why your joke, the one about my mom, it mattered so much. Eli smiled, remembering that awkward dinner weeks ago. Exactly. One small joke, one smile, and a spark is born. That spark can grow into a fire of change. Kale grinned. Then let's keep the fire alive. As the night deepened, Eli wandered to the edge of the plaza, looking up at the violet sky. The stars shimmered above, and for a moment everything was quiet. But even in that quiet, he could hear the soft laughter of children and adults mingling with the gentle hum of AI systems, interacting playfully with the environment. He thought about the journey so far, the first awkward dinner, the joke that had caused Sarah Lynn's smile, the hesitant laughter of children, the cautious smiles of council members, and finally, the full embrace of human-inspired culture. It was more than he could have imagined. Humans, he realized, had a unique power. Not strength, not weapons, not even advanced technology, but something subtle, invisible, and universal. The ability to connect, to inspire, to bring joy, and to leave a lasting mark on anyone willing to open their hearts. The next morning, Eli met with the council one last time before he returned to the shuttle. The city had changed. Luminarians walked with confidence in their new gestures. Smiles came naturally, and laughter was no longer a rare sound but part of everyday life. "You have done something remarkable," the elder said. "Your species has shown us that connection, humor, and joy are as valuable as logic and efficiency. We will carry this forward." Eli bowed slightly. "It has been an honor, and remember, it's not just about teaching. It's about sharing, inspiring, and letting people experience the beauty of these moments for themselves. That is how lasting change happens." Sarah Lynn approached again, holding Cale's hand. "Thank you, Eli, for teaching us to see the value in laughter, in joy, in unpredictability, in humanity." Eli smiled warmly. "Thank you for being brave enough to learn. That's what makes this possible." Cale gave him a small, proud smile. "You didn't just teach us jokes, Eli. You taught us how to live a little differently, and that is amazing." As Eli boarded the shuttle to leave Luminaris, he looked back at the glowing city below. The plaza was alive with music, laughter, and light. Children were teaching each other new games. Adults exchanged subtle smiles and gestures, and even the AI systems moved in playful patterns, responding to emotion as much as logic. He felt a deep sense of pride. One simple joke had started it all. One small act of humor had grown into a cultural transformation, changing not just behaviors, but hearts and minds. And it was a reminder that humanity's greatest power was not in dominance or strength, but in connection, creativity, and the courage to be joyful. As the shuttle lifted off, leaving the glowing towers of Luminaris behind, Eli thought of the ripple that had begun, how far it could spread, how many lives it could touch, how one human's humor could inspire a civilization to see the value of joy. He smiled to himself, thinking of Sarah Lynn, Cale, and the entire colony. One joke, one smile had proven that humanity's influence, gentle, playful, and full of heart, could change worlds. The stars stretched out before him, and Eli knew this was only the beginning. One small ripple could grow into waves, and waves could reach everywhere. And wherever humans went, laughter, joy, and connection would follow. For Eli, for Cale, for Sarah Lynn, and for the entire colony of Luminaris, the universe felt a little brighter, a little warmer, and infinitely more alive.